What's up, my broccolites? So this whole video was streamed on my YouTube. You can join my Discord to get notifications when I'm going to be streaming in the day. Yeah, so this is the first time I'm doing this kind of video, so let me know what you like, what you don't like, what should change, and yeah, enjoy the video. So apparently the recording here says 4 minutes of me finally beating my PB after so long. The dramatic title is Suffering Leaves My Suffering PC. Oh my god. I think it expanded my arsenal. Obviously I don't use screwdriver enough, seeing goes third slot in general. Same with the fire starter. I think I need more help including those in my playstyle. I don't know where to begin, so who knows. Okay, 148 hours, so we can take this into account. This is the important question though, most important question at the bottom. Are you a jackhammer acolyte? I like the impact hammer. There's no amount of glaze in the universe to show how much it is loved by me, and that is saying a lot, considering Krispy Kreme exists. Amen, God bless, and amen. I'm already scared by what I'm seeing on the borders of the map right here. That's Germa. I can tell that's Germa right there. So we're dealing with some brain rot. Cybergrind. Oh Jesus, and the bit rate. Okay. Alright. Immediately noticing something. They decided to SSJ, slam storage jump, up into the top of the map. You can get away with that, like early on, like say like waves, like 30, before waves 35, and up. But I would heavily recommend you don't get into this habit, because putting yourself in this position this high up will basically leave you susceptible to mind flayers and insurrectionists and virtues, and idols are going to be on the floor, sentries are going to be on the floor. All these enemies that are high priority targets and very deadly are all going to have a really easy time killing you up in the sky like this. Because you got to remember, this little area down here, this is your only cover in the entire map of Cybergrind. Your only cover is down here, and by starting your wave with no cover, you immediately reveal yourself to all of the strongest enemies that can kill you. Like, the only enemies that are actual run-enders. You can get used to Maurice, you can get used to Gutterman. It takes Gutterman like 8 seconds to actually lock onto you while you're up here. It's whatever. Those can spawn, you'll be fine. But the actual threatening enemies, you gotta worry about. Oh, and think about this too. Stalkers on the bottom of the floor. If they spawn, they're gonna walk around and have a heyday sanding everything, because they don't die when they're sanded on Brutal. I mean, when they sand other enemies on Brutal. So think of it that way as well. The longer you spend up here, the longer you can't deal with the problem enemies. See? Like, okay, well, this is a good combo, because a Mind Flayer just teleported on top of him. It's a good combo. Did a lot of damage to the Mind Flayer. Again, it only works on these kinds of waves because, you know, this is dealing like, what? 23 damage to the Mind Flayer right now, and it's the only threatening enemy on the board. So it's a good combo. And in this time, look, he takes 60 damage just trying to get back down to the board. He should have just taken the Mind Flayer fight because that was the only threatening enemy on the board. But instead, he's trying to return back to the cover of the map. About 10 health. Granted, I know that this is his PB, so he might be stressed out a little bit, so I'm not going to critique him super hard. I'm just trying to give tips for what to do moving forward. Get used to starting your wave on the actual map. Or close to it. It's very hard to see the enemies. That's another thing. I would suggest having a more clear board if you're trying to get your PB up pretty high. See, does he do it again? Yeah, he does it again. And here he's probably not going to get punished for it. Yeah, he's not going to get punished for it. But he is kind of screwing around a little bit because he's hitting himself with his core. Another thing I would suggest, try your best not to use Red Gauge on Maurice. I know it's very enticing because it's an easy one-shot, but you really want to try to land Jackhammer plus Knuckle Blaster if you can. That's a very important tip because you can get away with putting your Jackhammers on Red Gauge on cooldown here. I mean, on like the lower waves, but when you get up to the higher waves, like wave 30 or wave 40, where like Radiant Maurices are starting to spawn and they're spawning in, you know, plenty numbers. If you're hitting them with your Red Gauge, you're basically without like probably your strongest tool for killing the deadliest threats for the rest of like, you know, 7 seconds, you know what I mean? and you don't want that. Another thing I'm noticing, he's not really using his railgun charge, which is kind of worrying. I mean, it's not really, because it's you know, these are like easier levels, but it's a lot more worth it to say like just throw your screwdriver on like the Cerberus earlier here. No, it's hard to see, but yeah, that Cerberus right there. It would be a lot smarter if you just caught this Cerberus, threw a screwdriver on it, and then chased the Maurices, you know what I mean? Because again, like this could be a really stressful, imagine if there was a Mind Flayer or like sentries or idols on this map. It would be a lot better if you had thrown that screwdriver out onto the Cerberus, onto one of the Maurices, so that you would have an easier time dealing with the rest of the threats. Taking a couple hits is fine, because the screwdriver will just bring your style back up, you know what I mean? So you can get away with that. But generally, it seems like he has some pretty good macro. He's kiting the enemies, making sure he's not within melee range of Cerberus for as long as possible, because his charge is undoubtedly his strongest attack. Okay, and here we go, again. He's facing the consequences of his actions, right? Virtue and Insurrectionist spawn on this wave. Virtue gets an easy 30 damage on him because he's this high, and it's probably going to be able to attack again from this height. He needs to spend a dash to get out of the way upon slamming down to try to get down here. That's bad. You don't want to have to do that. And from this distance, it's really hard to judge an Insurrectionist punch, so that's doubly bad. Oh, it's two Virtues too, even worse. Now, I can definitely much better understand using a red gauge on a Virtue. Sometimes you just gotta get rid of that Virtue so that you can deal with everything else. It's a lot more worth it to spend a 7-second cooldown. Oh geez. Yeah, like here. He's still got his screwdriver charge up this whole time, right? And again, I get like he could be in it, he's very stressed, this is his PB, so take this with a grain of salt, but moving forward, you gotta think about the fact that you have this rail cannon charge, because imagine if you threw a screwdriver on this guy. This would be a done deal, easy fight, right? All you have to do is just whiplash up to him, back and forth, and he's done. But this was a low density wave. I think it was literally just like 2 Virtues and an insert on wave 19, or 20, whatever this is. It's kinda crazy. Yeah, he gets it done though. SSJ again. Is he punished? Doesn't seem like it. Worst thing that you see up here. Oh, another thing. Those blue orbs that chase you around. These, right? These are horrible when you SSJ up here, because Mind Flayers and Mannequins, they're going to be tossing these out like hotcakes, and they pick up velocity depending on how long they've like lived in the environment, like how long their lifespan has been. So from up here, it's basically unreactable, you know, if you're this high up in the air and they're flying towards you and they have a straight shot. So don't want to have that. Very bad news bears. Another reason not to SSJ up into the sky. But yeah, obviously Gutterman's going to take him 5 million years to try to lock onto you, so he's not a problem. Very easy to condition yourself into thinking that it's like a good idea to get up that high. Now, if you like doing coin combos, the thing I would suggest, like as a wave starter, the thing I would suggest is literally just... Here, let me go into a thing. You can use your whiplash to juggle the coins in the air. And you can wait for the enemies to spawn. And then when they spawn, boom, right? You get your 15 damage coin combo. Good at clearing out the one Virtue that might be troublesome, good at dealing a lot of damage to the Mind Flayer that spawns, can insta-kill a Sentry, and then even Radiant enemies it's good against, it can insta-kill a Radiant Virtue, right? It's a pretty decent wave start. It used to be my wave start when I had when my PB was 91. So you can definitely rely on that as a wave start. God, is that just Germa all over the walls? What is that? I don't know, just impact font memes all over the place. Right, and here again, he's not being punished because it's only a Gutterman shooting him up there. Oh yeah. Okay, here's another thing. It's gonna be a lot more prolific, I believe, in the later submissions I review, but this here is a terrible position to be in. Like, I know it's just one Maurice, but the worst thing you can do against a Maurice that's charging its beam is be in a corner like this, because even if you dodge left or right or jump, right, you'll dodge the beam, but whatever, the beam doesn't hurt you, right? He'll shoot your feet, he'll shoot this wall, he'll shoot the wall behind you, and that'll deal 50 damage to you. At this rate, that will kill you. If you're in this position, this is death. So, you made the right play dashing out of danger like that, but when you get up to higher waves, there's going to be a lot of Maurices, and they're going to have a lot of angles on you, and it's very important. That's why I say get comfortable with being off stage, because they can't shoot you while you're off stage. Their beam just goes straight through you, it doesn't hit a wall, no explosion happens. So I would really recommend remaining 20 tiles up in the air and occasionally being on the floor. That's generally where you want to be. And then on the sides of the Cybergrind map are also really nice places to be. You want to peek angles that Maurices can't see you. And if they can see you just barely, oftentimes they're going to be shooting their teammates. So say for instance he's right here, and there's a gunnerman here, there's a swords machine here. If the Maurice peeks this, he'll just shoot the gunnerman on the swords machine. So being in this position is a lot better than being in this position where he has a clear line of sight on you against a wall, versus here, he's more than likely going to shoot this wall trying to shoot you, or he's going to shoot the enemies in between you. Obviously, this is an early wave, so just do what you can to kill the Maurice as fast as you can. Doesn't matter when there's like one Maurice and one fodder on the map. At this point, you can use your red gauges. I just say don't get into that habit. If you don't know, you can use a yellow gauge on a jackhammer plus a knuckle blaster, and that will deal 15 damage to a Maurice, which will kill him in one go. So try practicing that when you get the chance. But yeah, that's what I suggest. I think this guy's a triple jackhammer enthusiast, so that makes me happy. I think this is the wave he dies. So far so good. I mean, he's not being punished for being up in the air. Alright, so here's another thing. It is very risky to do something like that. So as you see, like, he left this Maurice behind without killing him. And he's enraged, right? So Maurices, when they're enraged, they shoot 2 beams instead of 1, back to back, and also they're more often going to do the beam than not when they're enraged. So it's very risky to leave them in this position because they're going to be shooting beams like hotcakes, and that can be really risky when you're trying to attack another Maurice. Something that's really hard to judge, but it happens. It's very difficult, it's very unfortunate, but Maurices, if they see each other, if you leave this guy on enraged and you go to attack another Maurice, he can hit that other Maurice with his beam and still deal 50 damage to you. And that's bad. So you want to leave Maurices in positions where they're shooting more orbs than they're shooting beams. Because orbs can be free heals, they can be free friendly fire damage, and versus a beam, which is just, sure, it can hit enemies, but dealing 50 damage to you at an exchange is not worth it. So yeah, I think you should try to focus on minimizing the amount of enraged Maurices on a map as you can. It's not the end of the world, but that's probably why he's gonna die here, because I think this is his final wave. Saved himself there. Oof, okay. Either that guy killed him or it was the Cerberus. I can't tell. Okay, yeah, no, it was the Filth, I think. Yeah, the Filth killed him. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Even in this position, though, like trying to get up to this Maurice, this guy is gonna beam you. So, still, the same principle applies. Yeah, so this is just an unfortunate position to be in. You want to have a good wave start that doesn't involve... Here's what I mean. So this was his wave start, right? Let's just look back at this. This is fine for killing one specific enemy, but after that, you want to get your crowd control down. You know what I mean? Because that Filth, you know, there's gonna be Radiant versions of them, and if you're just using jackhammers to kill Maurices, you're not gonna get anywhere killing the Filth who can snipe you like that. So yeah, you want to have a plan. You want to focus on trying to use the fire starter in positions like that, because the Filth will just run straight into the fire. You want to use nails, saws, I've noticed you barely used any saws in this entire run. Use more saws. Using saws more will just get you to wave 40 easy, as long as you find which positions to put them in on different maps, you know, consistently. So what would my prime suggestions be? So you didn't use the rocket launcher very much at all, right? That's definitely a problem. I'd say, for now, focus on using the fire starter a lot. Just lather like the center of the map, because that's where a lot of enemy, like, you think about where enemy traffic is. Like on this map specifically, it's hard to see because of its textures. Here, enemies are going to be going up these stairs a lot, trying to get to you while you're on these corners. So if you play these corners like you were doing, it would be a lot better, and you wouldn't have died here if you had put oil or saws here, or nails or something, you know what I mean? So my suggestion, which will solve two things, you don't use the rockets enough. You say you don't use weapons enough in general and you would like to use them more. That's true. Put the fire starter in your first slot and just lather the center of the map with oil. You're going to be spending less time in the center of the map than the enemies are, because if you're in the center of the map, all enemies have sight lines on you and you don't want that. So it's good. You're generally playing the edges in most of these scenarios and you're kiting them. That's a good mindset to have. But on top of that, it would be so much stronger if you had just a little bit of fire on the map, a little bit of oil. Also an instant rocket. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if you're at that level yet where you can use that consistently and reliably. You should practice it with the freeze frame rocket launcher. Here, I'll show the quick mount right now, because I might put this into a video. Yeah, so if you dash after shooting a rocket like that, you can instantly mount the rocket, and for the next 3.5 seconds or so, you'll just have free air movement for the most part. So like, let's say, you know, you're on this map, you can come up from this position to here very easily. And then you could also come on the sides of the map and try to kite them all the enemies to come into one side, get more value that way, right? So then there's my other suggestion. Try to break the habit of SSJing before every wave. This puts you in a vulnerable position for sentries, mind flayers, insurrectionists, virtues, and, you know, idols and stalkers won't die down there, which is really threatening as well. So you definitely want to avoid doing this, because those are all high priority targets that both need to die and also will do a lot of damage to you the longer you're up here. Also remember, mannequins with their blue projectiles, becomes very hard to parry them when they pick up enough velocity, having an extended lifespan. So the longer you're up here, the faster those blue projectiles are going to move. Other than that, I think my final suggestion would be learn to use your screwdriver more. You become so focused on your target enemy, and while obviously it takes a minute to get to your target enemy because, you know, some people aren't as familiar with the movement of the game, especially with some of the odd tiles in like the Cybergrind, that's fine. You get used to that over time. I don't think you need to practice so much movement. I think that's something that's just going to happen naturally. Yeah, you should try to use your charge more. And don't be ashamed to use the screwdriver. I use the screwdriver, and I'm like, you know, top 34. So that Cerberus that was down there, again, you should have popped your screwdriver on him and then just went around picking off the Maurices. You'd be getting a lot of style. And if that Cerberus ever tried to attack, you would heal you to full, trying to do so. And like I said here, you would have died here to the Cerberus if not for the filth. But even still, he was coming towards you. He would have healed you in time for that, before that filth would have killed you. That's all hypothetical, but generally speaking, it's way better to have a screwdriver than not, right? Yeah, so this player's personal best as of this recording was wave 23. Yeah, that's all I'd suggest. I think, yeah. So there you go. There's my first Cybergrind review. Easy and digestible.